everybody, and welcome to another Top 5 board gaming video. In today's video I'm going to be talking all about creativity in board games. Before I really get started though, I would like to invite you, if you haven't done so already, to take a look at all my social media pages as well as my Patreon. This is where I'll be posting new videos as I upload them, as well as contests, giveaways, all sorts of other cool stuff. And if you sponsor me on Patreon, you can get access to videos pre-release and all sorts of other cool things. But getting right along to creativity in board games. What I mean by that is games that have the players be creative in some way, shape, or form. Whether it's doing something in a different way, or talking about something in a strange way, or describing something in a weird manner, whatever it happens to be. I think it's really important for like critical thinking and all that kind of stuff, and it's something that we as humans generally have lost. We're relying on screens to keep us afloat and all that kind of stuff. I say ironically through a screen to you, the viewer, but at the same time it's something that I feel is really lacking, and something that analog board and card games can really give us a unique aspect to. But that said, as always, you guys know I love hearing from you. So please let me know what your favorite creative juice flowing type games are in the comments below. You guys know I love hearing from you. And with that, we are going to get started with my number 5. At number 5, I've got Winter Tales. This is probably the most boxed in type of game as far as the creative juices, which is why it's lower on the list. But essentially, you'll see familiar faces. You see the White Rabbit, you see Alice, you see Tin Man, you see all these kinds of people that you know and love from all your childhood stories. But essentially, the idea of this game is that you're going out, you're doing quests, and as you're doing these quests and collecting essentially like story cards and things like that, you're basically explaining what's going on with the people and the characters within the game. So it's kind of interesting in that sense, and that's why it's on this list, and that's why I really enjoy it. However, again, it is sort of boxed in terms of how you can describe things, because yes, it is collective storytelling, but it's within some pretty specific limits. The biggest thing is the fact that people will recognize all the characters. That said, Winter Tales, my number 5. And number 4, I've got a bit of a social Poe-ian game, Gloom. In Gloom, the idea is that you are trying to make your people die in the most creative and miserable ways possible. That is literally what you're doing. Well, at the same time, you're trying to make your opponents all very, very happy. So the point is to have the most devastatingly depressing death possible. And it makes it kind of, you know, like cathartic and weird in that sense, because you're like describing these really brutal, strange, nonsensical deaths of your own characters, and whoever has the worst ones ends up winning. So it's kind of strange, and like I said, like really cathartic and weird in that way. But as far as storytelling is concerned, you really can't beat it, because you have weird stuff like you're being chased by poodles, I think is one of them, or something like that. It's very, very strange, but it's absolutely hilarious and a ton of fun. Gloom, my number 4. At number 3, I've got Once Upon a Time, another card game similar to Winter Tale and Gloom, actually, because the idea is that you have one person who is the storyteller, and they are trying to play out their entire hand. The goal is you play out the whole hand of cards you have. Once you do that, you win. And essentially, you've got different things that are going on. The cards represent different events that are occurring. You've got certain cards that will cause you to become the storyteller, so then you're leading it and all that kind of thing. So it's kind of cool, because you've got specific linkages that the different cards can have and all that kind of thing. Again, it's not superbly overly creative because you're limited by what the cards actually say, but it's fun because you're still doing a collective storytelling thing, and so it's a lot of fun, and it's a really cool table talky type of game. Once Upon a Time, my number 3. And number 2, I've got Mysterium, a very interesting clue interpretation type of game. And this is where we really start to see actual creative juices flowing, because the idea behind this game is one person is playing essentially as a ghost who's trying to give everybody else clues as to how they died. And the way they do that is with random pictures on cards that they say a phrase about. And the idea is that you're trying to guess which one is appropriate. They can't outright tell you what happened, so they have to give you these sort of cryptic messages. So that's why I mentioned this is really where the creative aspect comes into play, because there's no real rules about what you can say other than you can't say, I was stabbed with a knife. You know, you can't do that kind of thing. And essentially everybody else is playing as a collective team, trying to move through the mansion and figure out what happened. So overall, it's a lot of fun. Mysterium, my number 2. And number 1, I've got Dixit. This is essentially an amped up version of Mysterium where everybody gets to be the person giving the clues, looking at the cards, and doing everything. The idea behind this is it's kind of apples to apples, Cards Against Humanity-ish, where you have one person say a phrase, a word, sing a song, whatever they want to do, and then people will give them a card that they believe most is associated with that thing. The person who said it also puts down a card as well, and then you flip them all over. People vote on which one the person who said the thing picked. So you want to be cryptic enough that it's kind of weird, but not so strange that people aren't going to understand where you were going with it, type of thing, because you get points based on people picking your card correctly and all this kind of stuff. So it's kind of an interesting balance. And again, if you're talking about creative juices flowing, you really can't go wrong with Dixit, because you've really got to dig in and go all sorts of creative, all sorts of different aspects with what you say, how you say it, who your audience is, all of that kind of stuff. Dixit, my number 1. Well, folks, that's going to be it for me. I hope that you enjoyed this video on my top 5 favorite creativity-inducing games. This is kind of an interesting thing. I'm not really an artsy person, but I do like playing these games on occasion because it allows me to sort of think randomly and weird and a bit unusually. So it's kind of fun. But again, as always, you guys know I love hearing from you. What are your favorite games that allow you to be creative with either collective storytelling or anything else, any other aspect of the game? Please put it in the comments below. Let me know what you like. And with that, thank you very much again for watching, and I will see you next time.